Good morning, Baciarino family. Many of you have been asking for our bread recipe, and I've shared it with a number of you. You come back saying, oh, but it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. So we're going to take it right from ground zero. I'm going to show you all of the things that we did. So we need 4 basic ingredients: flour, yeast, and sea salt, and water. This is a beer yeast. Here they often use mother yeast. The salt is just a sea salt. And the flour is not necessarily a bread flour. It can be, it doesn't have to be. We would practically think of this as an all-purpose flour. It's a 0-0. I'm going to take about a scoop of flour for each of my loaves. This ends up being approximately 1 kilo. I do it all by eye. About that. So I'm going to take about tablespoon of salt for each of those. So next we're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. So next we're going to add the water. We want to add water that's body temperature. Now I'm going to put about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to mix. I like to cut across the bottom of the bowl, so that I know that there's no flour stuck under there. So I'm just tossing the flour and the water together. Add a little bit more water. Mix it around. It's so much easier to add more water than to take water out or to add flour. So a bit at a time. You can see how the dough is starting to come together. I'm making sure to get it up off the bottom a tiny little bit more. What I want is a dough that's not soaking wet, but that is still sticky. Like that's sticky still. I take my spatula, I'm going to clean my spoon, and then I'm going to clean Pro tip, wash your tools right away. Bread dough that's hardened is a real pain to get off wood. Now the red dough is ready to be covered up, so I'm just going to take a lid that fits. Welcome to the second half of our bread making. So we have left the bread now for anywhere from maybe 8 hours to 24 hours. You can see the little bubbles. It's nice and flat across the top. It's still shiny. If I do a little bump, you'll see it. You can see all the bubbles pop and it deflates. That's a good sign. Put out a nice liberal layer of flour, 2 good solid handfuls. I'm going to take my beautiful little spatula and I'm going to dump out the bread onto the mat. I've got floury hands. I'm going to pick up the edges of the dough and I'm going to just pull them over into the center. I'm capturing inside here lumps of air. I want big bubbles of air to be captured inside of this. It's sticking to my hands. I'm not too worried. I'm just creating surface tension here. I want to create a nice surface tension. Like this. Oh, I'm starting to be happy. That's good. She's ready. Cover her. The most important part, I think, of all of this is this, my pot. This is what creates the crust. This is what makes it look like it's been in a wood burning oven. We have used on other occasions any sort of pot Like this, our breakfast bread has been made in this forever. So it doesn't have to be this super heavy pot, but it needs to be a pot that has a nice, tight fitting lid. We put it in the oven, lid on, and we turn the oven to maximum. Just take this, put the lids back on. What we want to see is the bread has risen and is taking its final shape. It's still a little doughy, but that'll be okay. Da-da-da-da! We have some beautiful bread. Another pro tip, this bread is too hot to cut. You'll hear it happily crackling away. That's a sign of a very pleased crust. But we let this typically sit for at least half an hour, maybe 40 minutes before we cut it. I hope you enjoy the process as much as I do. And if you have any questions that I happen to have not addressed yet, please drop us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Enjoy.